Welcome to this BVTV People and Team SpotCast, coming to you from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. This is episode 2 in a trilogy with joyful living expert and author of Live for Joy, Anne Scottlin. Hello again, Anne.
Hello again, Malcolm. So happy to be here.
Well, I'm joyful today, by the way. There's not a day when I'm not. Yeah, it's very seldom when I'm not, but because I always look on the bright side of life, as they said in that Monty Python song.
Oh my goodness, it's going through my head right now. That's one of my favorite songs, right?
Yeah, look on the bright side. I know. We don't want to break the camera. Look, and let's dive straight into episode 2 of your BVTV SpotCast trilogy. The COVID pandemic has caused huge disruption to people's working and home lives. From full-time in the office to lockdown to hybrid, no wonder people and their families are exasperated. You're an expert on work-life integration. So give us some guidelines, please, on getting the balance right.
Wow, such a big question and such a relevant question, as you said. I think you will find that one of the biggest pieces to getting the balance right is placing a really high priority on your personal emotional wellness. Your personal wellness as a whole, physically, but as you know, being a joy expert, your emotional wellness is even more important to me. So I have a couple clues for people to kind of help them, and we'll talk a little bit more about the emotional wellness at the end. But number one quick clue for a lot of the people and companies I work with, if you had to pick 3 points, the first one is turn it off. And that means electronics. So what are some inexpensive and easy things you can do to improve that work-life balance? I often say I don't care when you work because everyone's different. I'm not a morning person and I'm the first to admit it. But whenever it works well for you, figure that out and then learn to turn off the electronics. It's such an addiction, even when you're doing things you need to do. I have people who tell me all the time, but Anne, I love to read when I go to bed. And I use my phone or my, whatever. And then I'll get distracted because something will pop up on an email. Pretty soon I'm, back to work at 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, well, there are easy solutions, turn the phone off, just set the alarm, put it in airplane mode, have a designated tablet or something next to your bed that is in airplane mode and doesn't get pop-ups and doesn't get email live. So you just read and you lay it down and go to bed. It's not like you can't you can't use your electronics, but learn to turn off the ones that are so disruptive because your mind never gets to rest. And when it doesn't get to rest, it's a lot harder to wake up feeling joyful in the morning.
Yeah,
That's one point.
My wife is terrible because she runs a Victorian tea room here in a beautiful place that we live in, and she's constantly busy and bing bong in. She's also runs the business part of our business, and she's a mum to 2 children, and we've got 4 grandchildren, and her phone is constantly bonging. And I said, should I just steal it away from you or lock it away, and I do see that you're quite right. It does drain her slightly. Yeah,
it does. It drains us. And like I said, we can't avoid it entirely, but I think that, the word boundaries is way overused and I hate that word, but for lack of a better word, if for me, I just say, turn it off. Fine. Even if that's at lunchtime for 5 minutes, put your phone in airplane mode or close your computer. Yeah. And either meditate or go for a walk. Just give yourself a break from that constant barrage. And then another point I always tell my clients is, it's so simple and so easy and so free. Just say no.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges to work-life integration, and especially people with small young families and children, people with pets, even your neighbors can distract you. The delivery man distracts you. It's constant. It's endless. But there are certain areas where you can just say no. When that neighbor knocks on your door and is like, hey, can you come help me move this from my garage to you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in the middle of work right now. I got meetings today. What about Saturday? I would love to help you Saturday. Don't be afraid to say no. It doesn't make you a bad person. You don't have to be mean, but learn to say no to things. Even family members, like, oh, can you take me to the store? Says the teenager, I really need to get. You're like, I absolutely will, but I can't do it right now. Let's do it tonight. Just say no. It's just taking those little steps, which was my final and third point about your emotional wellness, is taking little steps to make your wellness more of a priority. Little steps every day. I'm having a really fast story. You've heard the Aesop's fables. I know one that a lot of people forget about is the one about the crow. There's this great old crow, and he comes and lands on a table outside, and there's a pitcher of water, and he wants a drink. And so he bends over to get a drink, but the water level is too low. He can't reach it. He'll fall in. And he's like, So he ends up grabs a pebble and drops it in. And then another one. And then another one, until eventually that water level rises to the point where he can easily just get the water and move on. So if you can just add one pebble of well-being to your life every day, these small choices will help people see the greatest transformation in their lives over time.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thanks, Anne. Now, let me remind our audience of your main URL. We're going to be putting a bonus URL across the bottom of the screen in a minute. The main URL, viewers, you can see on the screen behind me is all the W's, and with an E, Scott, Scottlin, Anne Scottlin. Now, Anne's book is called Live for Joy, and it's available in many places, especially on Amazon. But there is a special extra website for it, which I'm going to put across the bottom of the screen. But it is all the W's, liveforjoybook.com, liveforjoybook.com. In episode 1, Anne told you more about the book and what it aims to do. Coming up soon is episode 3 in this Power of Joy trilogy with Anne Scottlin. Thanks, Anne, for episode 2.
Thanks, Malcolm. See you soon.